What's up guys, TC here and welcome back to Starbound, and I've got a very special video for you guys today. I know I mentioned in the last video I was going to do a type of video for like a how I do it, not a how-to like the one I did with the rifle, like the basics. I wanted to give you guys a rundown, kind of like basically me building a weapon from start to finish live on camera. But then it kind of occurred to me that that could be a very long video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start today on, and this could take several days worth of recording, honestly, because I don't have a ton of time. But it's going to start off with a simple gun. I'm going to have like an idea, and we're going to kind of work through it. And I'm just going to basically cut out all the middle bits and showing you kind of the progress that I work through from start to finish. From like starting off just getting the general basics of the gun working all the way to the end where it'll be kind of, you know, getting the details and getting the finer aspects of it in place. So yeah, with that being said, what I have decided on, so for me, whenever I make a weapon, I always try to have like an end goal in mind. So maybe you don't have to know where, like, you don't have to know how to get there, but you need to know, you know, where you're going. So you can usually kind of find your way, but for today's weapon, what I would like to make is preferably like a shoulder-mounted cannon that's going to be some kind of like a big plasma ball. What I want is like be a one-shot weapon where you kind of fire it and it's got this big, be kind of a large projectile. I want it to have like an arc to it, and I want it to be like a big explosion, like kind of a really fancy explosion. And yeah, I want it to be really strong, but I also want it to drain all of your energy per shot. So it'll be kind of like a really like heavy weapon. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do for the secondary yet. That'll kind of depend on, I don't know, kind of depend on how it functions. If it ends up functioning how I want it to, I can figure out something else. But anyways, that being said, let's jump into it. I'm probably going to use a basic assault rifle, so I'm going to do a quick cut here and we'll get started. Okay, so this is the weapon I'm going to be modifying. This is a pretty old weapon of mine. It's not very detailed. I called it the Acro rocket launcher. It's basically a shoulder-mounted rocket launcher. You'll see here. Pretty simple. Yeah, so it's got the three basic weapon parts, and it pretty much has all the basics I need on it to kind of make this weapon. So this is my starting point. I will be back to you guys in a minute when I start kind of getting this. I want to work on the projectile first. What I usually do is I get basically I get the gun functioning how I want it to, like whatever projectiles and things it's going to do, as at least its like primary function. I get that working first, and then I kind of go towards like making it look right and all that stuff. So that's going to be my first real task here, is getting that kind of energy cannon type effect working. So I will bring you guys back when I get a little bit of progress on that. Okay guys, and we are back. That took a little bit longer than expected, so I've got what I would deem an adequate explosion here. It's not too crazy. As you can see, it's a nice, decently sized explosion here. I also went ahead and added some, got a decent projectile and added some gravity to it, so it's got a nice little arc. This way you can kind of put it at a 45-degree angle, you get some pretty good distance on it. So yeah, this way it can still be used up close, still be used at pretty good range. And it's got a nice big explosion on it, kind of shoots out some fire here around the corners, which makes a pretty big explosion. So I was thinking, kind of on the way, something else that kind of would differentiate this. I was wondering if maybe like I put like a lot of knockback on this, so it knocks enemies away, and then it would leave some kind of power-up on the ground. So like maybe you shoot it, when it hits the ground it explodes, maybe it leaves like a speed or maybe actually that Nova effect. I might leave a power-up on the ground that the player can pick up. So it's kind of important, like when you shoot it, it blows up here, it's important the player runs over there and picks it up, because if the enemy picks it up, then they'll get the Nova effect. So I think I might add that in. That'll be something I'll probably work on next. So I'm going to keep on moving. I will keep you guys updated on how this goes. Okay guys, and we are back another time. That, again, took a little bit longer than expected, but I did get the little Nova effect I was talking about just a minute ago working. So you'll see here, you'll fire it, and a little Nova dude here pops up, kind of glows, and the player can walk into it, and you'll see I get the Nova effect. It lasts for 10 seconds. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's interesting because it kind of keeps the player, like, pretty much incentivizes you to move wherever you're shooting. So if you know, shoot a bunch of enemies over there, do a bunch of damage, and it encourages the player to move forward and collect the power up so that the enemy doesn't get it. Obviously, it's not something you have to do. It's something I want to make. I want to make this gun interesting and have some unique mechanics to it. So that's something fun I'm going to throw in. The next bit here, I believe I'm actually going to start working for the looks on this thing. I'm still unsure what I want to do for the secondary, but I know I want this thing to be a pretty big, kind of badass looking shoulder-mounted cannon, so I'm probably going to build that out now, and I think we'll move on. If I have any ideas for what I'm going to do for the secondary, I'll probably just let you guys know as I go, but I'm going to be thinking about it, so I'm going to get to work. Okay guys, and I am continuing work on this. As you can see, it looks considerably different than it was before. So I hit a bit of a bug here, really unintended side effect, and this is definitely a good demonstration of why you should always continue to test your weapons against enemies as you're making them. So as you know, the idea behind this was that you shoot it, it blows up, knocks enemies back, and in the wake of the explosion it leaves a little power up, right? Well, the problem is that it's using action on reap, and so the explosion happens, like I shoot an enemy, it explodes, and the enemy just picks up the power up. I was hoping it would knock them back, and then I could use like a delayed action on reap to spawn it after they were knocked back, but the projectile spawning doesn't react to a time, so it just always occurs instantaneously. So for a bit there I was considering just honestly just throwing the whole thing away and starting over on a new ability, but I kind of worked my way into something I actually kind of like. It's pretty cool and a very interesting mechanic. So what I did is I made the projectile that spawns, first off, it no longer dies when it hits something, so that automatically makes it where the monster doesn't pick it up, but also I turned it into a invisible tentacle fist, so that means it will track the player as soon as it spawns in. But what I did is I inverted its tracking parameters, so now instead of tracking the player, it runs away from it. And so the idea is you shoot it, it blows up, and there's a little projectile, and you have to track that projectile down to pick it up. So a real quick demonstration here. There it is there, and as we run towards it, you're going to see it's going to try to get away from us. It's just fast enough that it's challenging, but not too hard to get away from. And I gave it 10 seconds to get away from you. And then if you don't get it in 10 seconds, it just disappears. And the cool thing is it doesn't give monsters any, it doesn't give them the ability. So I thought it was pretty balanced, and it was kind of interesting. Kind of adds a secondary objective in the middle of the match. So real quick, you'll see the here, hold on, let's spawn in a pop top for us to kill here. Any minute now. There we go. And now let's switch out of admin mode. You'll see it does about 90% of your energy when fired. Well, we completely missed it, but we can still get to it. Yeah, we'll get it. So as you see, we picked it up. Now we have the Nova effect. If we were to shoot this guy, you'll see it hits him, and even though the Nova thing is right there, went right through him, he didn't pick it up. And again, we picked it up. So it's kind of an interesting ability. So as you can see, as we take damage, he gets set on fire. So it's kind of a cool little incentive for the player to pick up the power up that you spawned. Come here. Oh, he went under the ground. Yeah, sometimes that does happen, but I consider that just kind of part of it. Like, you're not supposed to be able to get every one of them. You're not going to be able to get every single little fire power up. But yeah, it's definitely fun because it kind of adds this like weird secondary objective for a very temporary time, and if you can get it, you can get it, and if you can't, you can't. But it's definitely a cool little thing to add into it. I still don't know what I'm gonna do for the secondary fire on this thing yet. Currently, it's still the original one. It's kind of funny. Watch this. Yeah, it just sticks you into the ceiling. Okay. Yeah, that's a really odd status effect that I'm using on. I'm using it on the weapon this thing used to be. I'll have to figure out a secondary. In the meantime, I think I'm going to recolor this thing, and I'm going to get its sprite hooked up because it's not fully functioning. Or I'm sorry, it doesn't reflect how it's supposed to look. So I'm going to do that really quick, and then I'll probably bring you guys back, and hopefully I'll have some kind of idea for a secondary for this. Alright, so I think that about wraps it up. As you can see, I have recolored it. I've also got the sprite to match it here. And while I was doing this, I actually thought something really kind of cool here, because we are getting to a little bit of a long video. This could be a little over 10 minutes, and I didn't really want it to go over 10. So I thought, you know what, hey, why not? Let's make this a two-part video, and this kind of lets you guys be interactive here. How about you guys in the comment section below? Give me some ideas for some names, as well as what you think the secondary ability should be, and try to make it cohesive with the primary. So you know it's got this you know, the cannon shot here, and it's got this kind of little fire dude you have to catch to get your power up. And also, as you can see, it is kind of fire themed. So, you know, just let me know what you think the secondary ability should be. Give me some ideas for names and descriptions and stuff like that. And what we'll do is I will finish the weapon with using you guys' suggestions. And then at the end of the next video, well, during the next video, we'll put it all together. And then at the end of it, we'll have a complete weapon. And you guys will be able to download this sexy thing. So, you guys let me know in the comments below. That's going to wrap up this part of the video. I will see you guys in part 2.